Hello everyone and welcome to the stream. You are live with Endeavor Gaming. Some absolutely massive news today, for we got an all new lore blog that answers so many of the burning questions I have had about the Chimerans. So tonight we will be doing a deep dive into this new lore blog, as well as talking about a cool project I was cooking up with Techno Nerd that I am so excited to show you all. So, without further ado, let's just go on ahead and get into it. Here we are, back in Star Trek Online. It is great to see everybody on this very, very fine Thursday evening. How are we all doing tonight? Because I am doing oh so very well. We have an all new lore blog, and I am so pumped to talk about it. Through harmony, we are secure. Through victory, we are strong. Through fusion, we are victorious. How are you doing tonight, Chara? Hello, Kalora. Welcome in, everybody. Hope you've been having a fantastic week so far. So, we're gonna get kicked off here. Get my Kobayashi Maru event done real quick. I've been extremely bad about actually, doing the event. I am seriously considering buying it out after I do today's one. It's not going to be that much, and I have the Zen for it anyway. Through Transwarp Drive, we are salamanders. But just to give a quick intro to all of the things with this new lore blog, I'm sure that the last stream I had where I talked about Chimeran lore, the one that Flo was in, she was just watching, maybe absolutely wrong about a lot of stuff, and was just having fun. I was having a lot of fun. I'm gonna have more fun today, coming up with even more incorrect theories that will be disproven later. But that's what it's all about. I still have fun. Through winter, we are freezing. Yes, Jacervo. Oh my god, it is so cold here. It's so cold. It snowed days ago, and none of the snow has melted because we haven't gotten above freezing in over a week. I'm so cold. It's so cold. I was talking to Pundus about it earlier and complaining about the cold. And he was like, well, would you rather it be 25 degrees Celsius? And I was like, yes. And he's like, well, what about 30 degrees Celsius? And I was like, yes! What do you mean? It's getting better, not worse. Keep cranking the numbers up. It is currently 20 degrees Fahrenheit where I am, so I understand. It's very cold. It's very cold and I'm not looking forward to it. Alright, let's get this done. Not over yet. The next wave is coming. I would prefer if it was 300 degrees Celsius. That's horrible. I'm sorry.
It's not over yet. The next wave is coming.
Bring on the next wave. We can take it.
Get ready for
The
another
Chimeran
wave.
is so cool. Oh, we got the turbulence space on fire. Evidently, I can still tilt my ship, so that's pretty cool. Did they finally fix that?
Heads up! Another wave is coming your way.
Mostly prime timeline vessels you're deciding on. Oh. And I don't know what Starfleet vessel you should use next. I'd say that's entirely up to you. And will mostly be based on what you want to do with it. Alright, it's acceleration that blocks me. The not being able to tilt. Turbulent space just throws me around.
Enemy assault incoming. Survive the onslaught.
I will survive. Hey, hey. Bow, 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 ba-da-dum, ba-da-dum, bow. Ba-da-dum, bow, ba-da-bum, 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 bow, 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 ba-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-dow. You're getting 1 to 4 inches of snow. Pretty wild considering where you are on the coast. Yeah, you're not, like, in the Outer Banks area, are you, Chara? That's more or less the only, like, part of any of the Carolinas I've ever been to. I go on a beach trip with my friends every year out to OBX. It's a ton of fun. Gotcha, okay.
Heads up! Another wave is coming your way. Alright everyone, this simulation is over.
Here are your results. Alright, I'm gonna wait for this 2-minute ad break to end, and then we're gonna jump into the lore. Yeah, you guys definitely don't get a whole lot of snow out there. Now, come on, ad, I need you to end so that we can talk lore. I'm going to use this opportunity to get everything set up on my end, though. I'm also going to test a thing real quick. I'm curious about how something works. I'm about to find out how it works. Well, that didn't do what I thought it was going to do. Oops. I thought that button was going to do something different. I know none of you guys can see what I'm looking at. I was just kind of curious about it. All right. Now, the lore break, not lore break, the ad break, so that we can get to the lore ends in 1 minute. Which means I can now pull this up. Oh boy, do we have a lot to talk about. So, the first thing I want to talk about, because all of the lore building starts as early as the first line. I'm going to, let's see if this works. Yes, it absolutely works. So starting from the very first line of this, we have one of the things I absolutely love, which is star dates. I love being able to place things in a timeline. And Flo kicked it off in absolutely fantastic fashion by giving us a star date. which I know has already been deciphered on here. Can I type in a start date here? Okay, there we go. So, to start us out, stardate 85601.44 takes us to December 31st, 2408, or more specifically, just slightly before the events of the tutorial. I think that I usually take the assumption that the Starfleet Academy year ends around the same time that most school years end. So 6 months in our universe before the player captain graduates Starfleet Academy. But should be noted that it calls out elsewhere, which immediately made me think that this is an alternate reality, and there is a lot to support that, mainly as we go down in this. And Pax, you were right. Worst 3 years we've gathered ever. So, the blog starts out in some urban area with state banners being toppled, and we set our sights on the main character, a former Starfleet lieutenant. This lieutenant is not named in the blog at all. We know from clues that they have at least one brother, and I'm going to take another jump and guess and say that this is somebody who we know in the Prime timeline. And I am going to assume that the person in question is right here in this absolutely amazing artwork. And we will talk more about this artwork as we go through this lore blog, because, oh boy, there's a lot in this artwork that I think is worth talking about. Whoever this person is, they do have shorter hair. Granted, that won't mean very much. As we've seen, a lot of like alternate reality counterparts of people that we know will have different hairstyles, but I am so curious to know who this is. So, back to the blog. Threaded through a labyrinth of urban walkways and frost-laden gardens. So, obviously, it's wintertime, though I should add that I don't think that this is Earth, for reasons that, again, we will get into a little bit later. Deep unrest plagued the capital as new experimental plans to thwart the Borg had recently been made available to the public. So, in this reality, they are all at war with the Borg, and I imagine that the fight is not going as well as it did in our reality, given that there are these new experimental plans to thwart them. Like, in our reality, I don't think we ever had, like, these super big and crazy plans to just thwart the entire Borg. We were kind of on the defensive, and then we had events like what happened in First Contact, and then Janeway infecting the collective. That kind of ended a lot of their rule. Also, over on YouTube chat, hello Kyle Schaefer, and hello Spaceman5. And yes, we do have a new lore blog today. So, apparently whatever this plan was rejected by the presiding government more than a few times, which makes it seem like it's something that is extremely, let's say, divisive. And, of course, they've now explained what that is, but we're going to have to get to that a little bit later in the blog. So, our mystery person, referred to as the operator throughout this blog, comes into contact with somebody, a hooded figure named Nimri. And I don't think I recognize that name from anywhere, so I think that's a new character. But if anybody in chat has any ideas, put them in chat, please. And our operator is looking to join this resistance against whatever experimental plan has been coming up against the Borg. So whatever this is, it's really bad, and they're kind of in this underground resistance to fight whatever is going on here. I also really like the in-universe floaters from Ryza. Very nice touch. Man, if it ended up being Elisa Flores, that would be crazy. The Starfleet equivalent of Tovan Kev, basically. Fun fact, she is still on my bridge crew. And even my flagship's lore includes her. Who is she? No need to ask. She's a smooth operator. Smooth operator. I like rear headset packs. Giving my hover speeder license next month. Heck yeah. So, they also refer to this like sort of central government over this planet as the Commission. They also refer to it as the SC. And again, a little bit later in the blog, I'm going to get into what I think that means. So, for one, they seem very, very, very much against this. And they have the chant, object, reject, object, reject. Misuse, abuse. We object, we refuse. So whatever this is, this resistance is super against it. And they are organizing and standing up against this mysterious experimental project that is creeping up on their world. And now, in the second part of this blog, we jump forward a whole year. So we were just around 2409 in the first part. Now, I think it's fair to say we're either in very late 2409 or even in 2410. So now we're in, like, I guess where the bulk of STO's story happens, at least until fairly recently. Most things are happening in 2410. At this point, the operator is now extremely seasoned. You know, she's got her hover speeder license. Congratulations on passing the test, operator. Always believed in you. And she comes home to her family, who she evidently does not get along with very well. The operator duckbound a marble pillar to spy on the co-conspirators as they leaned over a large shipping container, eager to discuss its contents. This one has been returned, whispered the worker. How odd. Why? Replied the operator's mother. It was considered defective. That SC representative is asking for another batch. I wonder what this is, and I have a theory. So, first, going into what the SC is. Based on everything that we see in the blog, my leading theory is that this is the Symbiosis Committee. That is the ruling government on Trill. Which means what could be in these shipping containers are symbiotes. But what are they doing with them? This vlog gets into that. And Time Skipper, so great to see you. Hope you are doing well, and welcome back. And it seems that whatever is happening, whatever the mom of the operator is doing here, the operator has very much been against, and this is not the first conversation about it. So this is... things are getting really, really spicy here. And Looney, hold on to that theory for a couple of minutes. Trying to keep the family safe. We have been offered a very lucrative deal for our resources, and the scientist has assured us that he is prepared to take on all responsibilities tied to his inventions, legal, political, and otherwise. I think whoever the scientist is using these Trill to get access to the symbiotes to create something. He's exposing to experiment on people. His whole plan is to control all of us, or at least half of us. half of them being the symbiote. Hello, Nova Polaris. And gotcha. Yeah, if you changed, I guess, what is your name on YouTube, it might not change your @ handle. And all good. I totally understand. And later in this section, yes, Darren, we have new lore. Let me put it in chat real quick. But we do have a new lore blog, which is absolutely awesome. Also, oh no, I didn't hear Moopsy say anything. That doesn't bode well. Is the chatbot running? I can't see the chatbot anywhere. I should probably open up said chatbot, because I don't think it's even running. Whoopsie doodles. Open! It'll launch eventually. So, apparently the operator's brother is packing, and at this point is joining the resistance, which is especially crazy. Then we jump forward another few hours. So, still on the same day, still somewhere in late 2409, early 2410 at this point. Okay, the Moopsy thing should be working now. The bot's back up. They go back and meet the rest of the resistance. And we get our first sort of look into the galaxy as a whole.
Moopsy.
And I am going to read out what it says here because this is an absolutely massive thing for me personally. I'm just going to get some water real quick. Operator Nimri raised his hand as if to request her silence, redirecting her attention to a cracked display screen stationed in the middle of the room. The monitor projected an incoming message from Starfleet headquarters alongside graphic footage of intergalactic warfare. In the foreground, an FNN correspondent presented the news with a tremor in their voice. Almost 3 million Federation citizens have been killed. Many more have been assimilated. They stuttered, holding back tears. Admiral Quinn of Starfleet reports from Earth Space Dock, urging faction leaders to rally their efforts and stay united. The late Masked Taggart, before it cuts off. For one, the return of the GOAT! Taggart is back and mentioned! Woo! Hey, Quinn is still alive here. He's reporting from Earth Space Dock, which is great. For one, it kind of tells us that we're not on Earth right now, one. And two, he is still alive and fighting the good fight. Unfortunately, it seems like Taggart's canon event is falling to the Borg. Taggart is back as a corpse! What if he's the anchor being for that reality and the whole thing is falling apart because he's dead? I mean, he technically would be red because he's in the command division. I just thought it was very cool that he got mentioned again. I think Taggart is very cool. When I did my last fan trailer, I made it a point of including him because I think he's such an interesting character and I hope that he shows up again because, like, he got assimilated. In the original tutorial, he dies. And then they redid the tutorial. He gets assimilated and he becomes 010. And then we save him. And it's awesome. But then we don't find out what happens to him after that. Unfortunately, in this universe, he just dies. And we don't know what happened to him. Just that he probably fell to the Borg. But evidently, in this universe, the Borg are a big enough threat that the entire galaxy is basically united against them and they are losing. So it's a lot more in line with, like, the Iconian Alliance universe. And Nova Polaris, I would say that there's a couple of things that establish that this is set in another reality. The fact that there's this huge Borg conflict and the entire galaxy is united against them, because that didn't really happen in our universe. Like, we had Battle Group Omega to combat the Borg, but that wasn't a galaxy-wide thing, and even then they had basically just been pushed back to the area around the Vega system. This sounds a lot more like the Control Borg universe, so I don't think it's that one either, because the Iconian Alliance doesn't get mentioned at all. And a couple of other reasons why. So, then, we have the last section of the lore blog. We jump forward another 2 years. So I'm going to go out on a limb and say that this basically just jumps us to wherever we are currently in the game. I believe as of the last mission, we are just in the beginning of 2412. I think Axiom was the first mission that takes place in 2412. And I think that was confirmed in the Q&A blog. Felt like it's a mix of Aetherian and Iconian Alliance universe added with ours. I mean, I don't know exactly where the split might have happened or how many similarities there are, but I am also going to say that for the purposes of this blog, that we're probably jumping around the same time, and whoever this is somebody that we're going to come into contact with. Another theory I have is that this resistance is the same resistance that was mentioned in that Tal Shiar informant report back from Best Laid Plans. Chara, I believe you have that picture. Can you do me a favor and post a picture of that report from the Lisette in the Discord so I can pull it up on here? I feel like that these are probably the same resistance. Now, I still don't know what that first word is. What? You had screenshots of them! I guess that means I'll have to do Best Laid Plans again. Oh no. I know you can't tell because I don't have a camera, but I was smiling through that entire sentence. But we finally have something absolutely crazy happen, and something that I have been waiting for so long. The operator had barely taken a few steps forward when a massive shockwave suddenly ripped through the cave, hurling her body against the nearest wall. Dust rained from the ceiling, impairing her vision as she picked herself back up and staggered towards the exit. As she finally reached the cave's mouth, the operator lifted her eyes towards the night sky, only to be met with a most horrific sight. A titanic, cybernetic mass had eclipsed every cloud on the horizon, and thousands like it trailed not far behind. The city lay awash in the sickly green glow the SC had long warned would signal the end of times. "It can't be. Not yet," she stammered. Before she could react any further, a monstrous claw shot out from a corner of the cave and clamped onto her hood, dragging her to the ground. As the unidentifiable beast prepared to lunge at her, the operator raised her weapon instinctively and fired a point-blank shot into its skull. Seconds later, a disheveled operator Nimri burst through the cave mouth, dual phasers at the ready. "We have to get out of here, now!" he yelled, running towards his comrade. "No kidding," she shouted back, lifting herself off the ground. "What the hell is that?" "That," he panted, "is the result of everything we have been fighting against." The operator shook her head in disbelief as she stared at the felled creature. Its disturbing, headless silhouette and bony protrusions sent a shiver down her spine, not to mention the corrupted life form it carried within its skeletal body. It's a Chimeran! The Trill created the Chimerans to fight the Borg. They're genetically manipulated monster soldiers. And at their core, and it's interesting to note that the symbiotes are at the front of this thing, and they've been corrupted into this horrendous thing. But what about the hosts? What if the hosts are also corrupted inside the bodies of these Chimerans? This is insane. The Chimerans are biological weapons to fight the Borg. So, a new set of theories. It's time, everybody, to go back to my favorite thing. We return to the whiteboard. We know so much more. So, from this new blog post, we now know that Chimerans were developed by the SC as a means of fighting the Borg. We know that their existence is somewhat of a divisive thing. Huh. Oopsies. What else do we now know for sure? I'm trying to think of things that are like irrefutable facts at this point. I guess another one would be that the Resistance was created to oppose their, I guess, experimentation. Do they have spots on their legs? They have like fur and robotic things on their legs, I think would be the best way of putting it. Fact, furry, bony, can run. These are all good points. I will add that. Furry, bony, can run. Which makes them even more terrifying because, you know, now that I've been thinking about it, I have always kind of moved with the assumption that this is somehow like a Borg thing, but I question how true that is. I'm sure there's got to be some Borg technology in these things, given that it uses nanites. Borg says they smell nice, like earthy spices and flowers. I will take your word for it. Looney, we have absolutely no knowledge of whether or not they can cloak. We have only seen Chimeran ships technically once. At the end of Best Laid Plans, we see a normal cube get partially terraformed by one, and then the next time we see a cube, it is considerably more terraformed. The Zenkethi station cloak, but that was because of the Zenkethi. I mean, we've had that. Also, Flo makes a good point. They can attach themselves to the ceiling. I've got that picture somewhere. I sent it in the STO lore chat like forever ago, and now I have to see if I can find it. Has image. Oh, Discord image things have actually gotten like way better. Except it didn't actually pull up any images that I wanted. From Endeavor has image search. Haha! That actually did work. Okay, I am now extremely happy about Discord. Cool, 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 cool. I'm happy now. Discord search thing worked exactly the way I wanted it to. So, we have the original Borg cube here. This is one that gets terraformed in all that matter. I'm going to rearrange all my pictures here. This is getting more and more unhinged the more I do this, for sure. And then I need this picture. This is a completely terraformed Borg cube that we see at the end of Best Laid Plans. So we see that as it gets corrupted, it seems to get more and more almost random. And yeah, Bort, that's exactly what I'm talking about. We have this one at the end of All That Matter. We see that it starts to have these protrusions that come off of it. We see a little bit of the fungal creep on it too. And then we see this one at the end of Best Laid Plans, which is considerably more overtaken by this fungal creep and has seemingly like randomized itself even more to the point where it's like, it's insane how crazy it is. And like you have this like huge block that's growing out of it. And the spheres and stuff were like that too. But there's a lot of this. It should be noted that this is definitely... Well, I kind of go back on what I said about how much Borg stuff there has to be in them. The fact is that this is the only thing that is capable of, I guess, assimilating Borg that are already Borg. We see the Aetherians, through their process of biogenic fusion, have to remove whatever, like, assimilation things are already in place on a Borg before they confuse them. You know, we see with the Control Borg, it removes all of the nanites from that Control Borg's body before it fuses them. But the Chimerans don't have to do that. They can just terraform a Borg cube. And there, it is almost organic. The fact that it was referred to multiple times as a fungal creep, I think, speaks volumes. I also want to go back to the sound it made when it warped in. It sounded organic in its warp in. Like, the SFX for these ships was so creepy. Squelchy. Yeah, Flo, I think that is the best word to describe what the ship sounded like. They sounded squelchy. I mean, the fact is that our characters were absolutely terrified of these things. Like, we saw these things and we were like, we need to get the hell out of here. Beam me up, Scotty. It's time to go. Okay? And Theron, you're right on the money. I mean, based on what we read in this lore blog, it seems like the Chimerans were created as this last-ditch effort to fight the Borg. Chimera Squelch SFX bug still haunts me. Wait, was that what that thing was? Is that what that weird sound bug was? Where it was playing those like super crazy creepy sounds after you finished the mission and it would like keep playing them until you logged out? I never made the connection that that was the Chimeran sound. Okay, but Theron, I don't think that this was a thing created by the Aetherians anymore. Based on what's in this lore blog, it seems like it was created by the Symbiosis Committee. So I don't think that this is an Aetherian creation. And I kind of guessed that earlier. It wouldn't make sense for the Aetherians to be studying the Chimerans and referring to them as a specimen if it was something that they created. Because why would they create it? They've already perfected biogenic fusion. They have no reason to do any of that. Wait, what got noted? Oh no, what did I do? What did I say? Oh no. I mean, yeah, from what we have seen now of, and I already lost my window, what have we have seen of the Chimeran so far? I mean, that is not just Borg. And now, from what we've seen in best laid plans, let's see if I can open this. I don't actually have the photos saved to my computer, but luckily I can just open this. And it's funny because this was also my picture, and that is super small and not helpful. There we go. That is very, 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 very much a Trill symbiote. Geops, I will be so happy if the species uses beam overload. That would be hilarious. We must ask them if they can play ball. You know what? These things look like they were insanely tall, but I can't confirm how tall they are because I haven't been able to put them in demo record next to somebody because they've only showed up in cutscenes. Lord knows I tried to demo record in a cutscene. It doesn't actually work. Everything in the map just freezes and nothing happens. It makes me so sad. How do they crunch on snacks? They don't have mouths. Where are the mouths? They also have these claw-like hands. And now we know that they can mess with nanites. So, they've got at least some Borg in them. They take over ships. They make squelchy sounds. And I am now pretty sure that they were created by the Trill. Which also explains why there's a symbiote at the front of them. So, the Aetherians picked them up from, I guess, this universe. And we're just going from there. It's also worth noting that I guess we now have another timeline. Because the timing doesn't make sense for this to be the Aetherians universe. It seems like their society fell a long time ago. Like 200,000 years ago. And in this one, the Borg haven't taken over the entire universe yet. So, I guess that also means that, well, that's not the one I want to open. We have another timeline to add here. Welcome to the Resistance universe. And we now have a connection with the Chimerans coming here. I guess for the Chimerans we'll use like orange. Aren't you glad I didn't say banana? So, something happens, and the Aetherians bring this Chimeran over to our universe. Right here. That sounds like something the Aetherians would do. That sounds exactly like something the Aetherians would do, Jeremy. We have so many Borg timelines. Things are getting spicy. So let's do a quick rundown. We have our universe, where at some point in the 24th century, we kind of defeat the Borg through both Janeway's actions and Picard's actions. I am going to go ahead with the idea that the things that are canon to the STO universe are the events of Voyager Endgame and the events of Star Trek First Contact, since both of those have been directly referenced in the game. I am kind of not throwing in Picard seasons 2 and 3. Some things from Picard season 1 have happened in the STO universe, like Hugh and his work with the Reclamation Project, but there are obviously some differences, namely that he's not dead. Then, so we have the Borg, our Borg. They get beaten back. They're not quite defeated, but they are not a galactic threat. Everything is fine. Then we have the Control universe. In this universe, the Borg, at some point around the events of Discovery Season 2 from our universe, and the Prime timeline, I guess, merges with Control. They become this collective, which at some point ends up being led by Tasha Yar, their Borg queen, and they've taken over a huge amount of the galaxy, but not quite all of it. The Iconian resistance still stands, and the Dyson Sphere is their last bastion of hope, basically, and their last defense, and we've been helping them with that. We have the Mirror Universe, which is mostly dominated by the Terrans, but now we know that the Borg existed in that universe as well. They were beaten pretty badly at one point around the time of Voyager in our time. So in that universe, they capture Voyager while it's in the Delta Quadrant. Janeway says, I'm not having that. Proceeds to use devices to destroy a huge portion of the transwarp network, killing the previous king, and also opening up a reality vortice, which then exposes the Mirror Borg to the Aetherians, which kicks off a whole lot of this stuff. And then they replace their leader with Harry Kim, who they stole from Voyager and assimilated. He becomes the new Borg King. We meet him in Scorpion's Abyss. Then you have the Aetherian universe. In this timeline, you have the Iconians. They have their huge empire. And then about 200,000 years ago, instead of being taken out by the Icobans and everybody else, they are invaded by a version of the Borg, who proceed to destroy just about everything. The Aetherians in this universe are like, we gotta do something. They turn to scientist B'Elar, and they undergo biogenic fusion, become Aetherians. They defeat the Borg in their universe, and their world heart that got partially assimilated / replaced by this new cybernetic thing says, hey, why stop at one universe? Everybody can be perfect, just like us. Which leads to them starting to invade other universes one at a time. They're in a war against the Mirror Universe because they are completely and utterly aware of everything going on at this point. And at this point, they're fighting, and that somehow drags us into the war too. The Aetherians convince us that the Mirror Borg are the ones that destroy their time and their universe, even though that ended up being a complete lie. It's some other Borg. And now we have the Resistance universe. In this universe, very similarly to the Control Borg universe and the Aetherians universe, just about everything has been completely taken over. They're on their last hope. Here on the planet Trill, they turn to making these genetically enhanced Trill super soldiers, which leads to the Chimerans, which clearly hasn't gone super well for them because the Borg are right at their doorstep. The Federation is fighting them and probably losing. We know that in at least one battle or part of this war, 3 million people are dead, and it's insane. Huh. Did I miss anything? Hi, Zex. Whew. Good lord. That's just the lore of this arc. This is insane! I am doing a mess. I just saw the Flo's messages in the STO lore hub. We are diving insanely deep because I am crazy, and everyone will be crazy with me. So, I saw the question of where the protomatter comes into this. That is such an excellent question. Here is my take. I don't think that the two are as directly related as we think they are. I think that the protomatter can spread their influence a little bit more, but I don't think that it is protomatter specifically that creates the Chimerans. Going back to this blog, and more importantly, pulling up some of these pictures. This one. For one, I think that we are seeing a bit of the fungal creep in action here. I'm just looking at this like absolute crazy mess of wires. Right here, we can see a lot more like conventional Borg type mechanical structures and stuff. But these like red masses and these like coiling wires and tentacles are much more Chimeran coded. My rant is never going to be over. But I think somehow this mix of like these Trill symbiotes and protomatter have to be connected. My question is, where did the Trill get protomatter? It doesn't really come up in this lore blog. But the protomatter has to have some connection for overtaking these ships. Though, I feel compelled to add that it might not specifically be the protomatter that's causing all of this. Remember, the specific thing about that protomatter container is that it had been modified not just by the Zenkethi and the Aetherians, but it had essentially been turned into a bomb. And I think that is far more important than anything else. It's not the protomatter specifically. It's that this protomatter device had been turned into an extremely dangerous explosive device, which then had nanites embedded in it from the Chimeran. I think that the protomatter in this case was just a carrier of sorts. And I think that the terraforming is just kind of a side effect of that. The protomatter would be a great way of distributing the nanites to a huge area, and it did, because it effectively terraformed the entirety of that Borg cube almost immediately. I mean, we see, let me pull it back up here. Oh wait, I don't actually have to do it that way. I have both of the things pulled up. We see that here. So like as soon as that explosion goes off, the Borg is immediately affected by it on the sides that were facing that protomatter explosion. And as the nanites infect the already present Borg nanites on the cube, it corrupts it more and more until we get to this. And yeah, I think Kalora puts it really well. This is just, it's an upgraded form of assimilation, in a way. The protomatter disperses the nanites. Remember the Genesis device? A roughly torpedo-sized device that terraformed an entire planet in a matter of hours, using protomatter. Exactly! Yes! 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 This! That protomatter device had basically just been turned into a mini Genesis device. I use mini very sparingly. It's not that much smaller. But this thing can just assimilate entire ships. The fungal creep that we're seeing isn't just that the Borg cube is being terraformed. It's that it's being terraformed with Chimeran nanites. It's a both sort of thing. Like, just throwing protomatter at a Borg cube wouldn't create this, but protomatter that's been infected with Chimerans would. This doesn't explain why the Borg were so interested in that protomatter container, but it does explain what happened to this cube here. It also means that now that they have it, they can probably make more. And given that we see an entire fleet at the end of Best Laid Plans, I think it's fair to say that they can make more. Oh, guys, we've gotten so much Chimeran lore today. I am so happy. I think that that's a pretty fair assumption there, Cuffs. I mean, they probably recognize that the protomatter is potentially dangerous. It's also worth noting that this Borg cube had to get here somehow, and if they don't have a transwarp network anymore, it means that this Borg cube was just around. And Kumara K marvels at the fact that there are Trill and Tellarite Borg on board, which means it's assimilated people nearby, because I think in that Q&A it's mentioned that 13 Ceti isn't too far away from the Trill homeworld and Tellar. I'm actually going to go ahead and fly over to the Alpha Quadrant in sector space just to get a better read on kind of distances and where we're at there. I spent most of that blog also rambling about Chimerans, if it means anything, Chara. It should also be noted that a lot of the assumptions I made that night were wrong. Boy, I love that answer. Great question. Thanks for asking. All right, so we are in the Alpha Quadrant now. Let's figure out where everything is. So, first off, we have Tellar right here. The bottom section of the Tellar sector. Saria is over there. Trill is right here. And where is 13 Ceti? 13 Ceti is right here. So we were like right smack dab in the middle of those two planets. Yeah, I realize that. I'm cutting back to gameplay. There we go. Now you can see it. So we've got the Tellar system right here. And the Trill system right here. 13 Ceti is right in the middle of those two. So the Borg cube was somewhere in this area, which is also terrifying to think about because this is very much like Federation space. How did they get here? Because I thought we destroyed their transwarp network. Apparently not nearly well enough, because it's either it's bad and we didn't actually take out their entire transwarp network over here, or a Borg cube was in this sector, and that's also very dangerous. That's very bad. If there's a gateway here that we don't know about, that is very, 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 very bad. There are so many. I both have so many more questions while also having so many of my questions answered, and it drives me crazy. It is. I still find it extremely interesting that the Borg showed up and all that matter. Because keep in mind, like, story-wise, the last time we dealt with the Borg and the Borg Queen would have been that big fight in Borg Disconnected, I think. In lore, when did Borg Disconnected was the last TFO where I think we faced them. if I am not mistaken here. So that one released October 14th, 2014. When did Kittimer Vortex come out? I just want to make sure that I have all of my dates right. The most fun and interesting lore drops only answer about as many questions as they ask, in my opinion. I 100% agree with that. Also, oh no, I have found something in the STO wiki that isn't there, and that's insane. There is no date for when Kittimer Vortex got added. Though, now that I think about it, that one has been around for so long. That one was released when it was still called an STF, wasn't it? Kittimer Vortex, yep. This queue is also sometimes referred to by players as Special Task Force or STF. This is an older name that was used in Star Trek Online for most of the Borg-oriented missions prior to the name change to Task Force Operations. Okay, so yeah, the last time we deal with the Borg in the story would have been Borg Disconnected. Because that would have been, God, around... That was part of Delta Rising. That was Delta Rising. And we destroyed the Borg Queen Octahedron. And we also established that we very much do not actually kill her then. Because she talks after we blow up the ship saying, this isn't the end of the collective. I'll promise you that. The Borg Queen's defeat in the Hive disconnected... Oh, sorry. The Borg Queen's defeat in the Hive disconnected hundreds of drones from the collective. Which is when we took on her in Hive Onslaught, I'm going to assume. But the Queen is eternal. She has downloaded her consciousness into another Unimatrix and is reassimilating all of her lost children. The Cooperative needs your help to save the liberated Borg. Which is crazy to think about. I'm also now like diving back into this. And I like that a lot of the write-ups for like the walkthrough and stuff are spreading fire is necessary. I love this. Oh, holy crap. It still has the link to the STO dev blog for Borg Disconnected. Oh. Holy crap. The blog link actually still works. Learn more about Borg Disconnected. The first queue available to players in Delta Rising. Captains will work to free Borg from the collective to help join the cause. And it should be noted that, like, in the story, this is kind of a continuation of Borg Disconnected. So, we know that, at this point, we had already killed the Borg Queen twice. Because we had Hive Ground, where we destroy her physical body. She sends her consciousness into the Octahedron. Then we have Hive Onslaught, where we destroyed that Octahedron, and we're like, haha, we defeated her. But, haha, just kidding, not really. She beamed her consciousness into another Octahedron in the Delta Quadrant, in another Unimatrix. And then we have to fight her one more time. And then we destroy it. And even then she says that we didn't actually defeat her. So, going back to this, I know we never actually kind of touched on it in canon, or in STO canon, but we never killed the Borg Queen. And I feel like we haven't really talked about that enough. But we never killed the Borg Queen. Because we definitely do not take her out in this TFO, and this is the last time we see her. Oh. Well, that's not very good. Like, we know that they've at least been weakened at this point, but the Queen is still very much alive. We have a word for that in Starfleet. It is called a non-optimal situation. Well, Hive Space takes place before this TFO. So I think the logic is that you have Hive Ground, Hive Space, and then Borg Disconnected. You know, I am suddenly very convinced that we're going to see the Borg Queen in this arc. This has certainly been a season for both old and new friends. I mean, we had Harry Kim come back, both as Captain Harry Kim and Borg King Harry Kim. We have Ezri. We have Hugh. Having the Borg Queen from our universe show up doesn't seem very out of the question right now. This story is absolutely insane. Oh my god. I know I've said it so many times, but Flo has been absolutely killing it with this lore because I'm losing my mind. It's so much fun. This is how you know, like, narrative stuff is just absolutely insane when I have entire streams just dedicated to let's talk about lore. Also, I want to give massive shoutouts to Gokon and Albert, the two artists who worked on this absolutely incredible art that is on the front page of this lore blog. Because this looks crazy. If your hunch about the operator is correct, we're about to get one of the most prominent actors who hasn't been in STO yet. Ooh, what's your theory, Pax? And also, let's jump back to the previous thing that Looney had been talking about way towards the beginning of the stream. Who do we think the operator is? Char, you bring up a great point. You know the lore is crazy when we spent God knows how many hours translating Aetherian words and figuring out a huge portion of the alphabet. How very true. Oh, what makes you think Jadzia? I was thinking Ezri. And I do believe that she is not a Dax at this point. I do not think that she has been joined with a Trill, but I do have a super strong feeling that it's an alternate reality Ezri. I mean, former lieutenant in Starfleet. I feel like it's someone that is Trill. What rank was Ezri, Pax? Was Ezri not a lieutenant too? Also, Ezri has a brother. I don't think Jadzia does. She was an ensign in DS9? Ah, that's a fair point. But Jadzia doesn't have a brother. Not a direct brother. She technically had a brother-in-law. Kern would have been her brother-in-law, but, you know, and at least in our universe. Oh my goodness. I can add more to... Hang on. Hang on. Hang on. Hang on. Someone remind me tomorrow. I need to make edits to this wiki page. Just kidding, I'm totally about to do that now. Let me make sure that that lore blog has been added to the STO wiki already. Or I guess it's not... I should add this to the blog. Oh my goodness! It hasn't been added yet. How could they? I feel like it is my moral obligation to do this. I will do it after the stream, assuming that nobody gets to it first. Or I could do it right here. Hang on. I'm going to cut back to the game. So I don't just actively put the the wiki stuff or watching me stumble to add this real quick. But I feel like we gotta add it, right? I feel like we gotta add it. It's gotta get added. Hang on. I'm doing it. I'm doing it. I'm doing it. Bum 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 bum. There are a couple missing. Oh yeah, you know what? The one before this also hasn't been added, has it? That is a good point. That one will be next. One moment. I know this is supposed to be a STO stream, but it is imperative that this gets added, in my opinion. Kings and queens. The operator. Today. $2026. Boom. Now I will add in the other lore blog, because that one has also not been added to this list, crazily enough. Do. Ships are also important, but these are important to me. Let me add in Victorious Strife as well. I am adding in Victorious Strife now. Did Victorious Strife have a subtitle for it? Because the link does not have one. Easy solution. Let's see if the page had one. Yes, it did. Cool. I like that theory. And what day was Victory is Strife posted? That was January 22nd. Boom, boom, and boom. Let me make sure that that worked and I'm not about to break something. Ah, yes. I did do it right, except I need to put it before the chronology thing. Boom. There we go. All right. I can now be moderately happier. I have added Victorious Strife and the operator to the wiki. Cool. Tefay. Or not Tefay. My brain works in mysterious ways. In the way when I saw that the lore blogs weren't there, I absolutely had to add them no matter what, and nothing was going to stop me from doing that. But it's okay. They're there now. I totally forgot what I was doing. There was some reason for me to do this. I'm sure I remember at some point, but... Oh no! Wait, which one is missing? Hang on. Alright, so we have the Aftermath, Above All Else, Hand on Heart, Circuits and Souls, Victory Strife. We are missing one. We're missing to pay or not to pay. Okay, this time I am actually going to show you exactly what I do. Let's see. Tefei or not Tefei was before Victorious Strife, but after Circuits and Souls. I don't know. I forgot. Is that capitalized? I realize that that's not going to tell me anything at all. No, but not is obviously capitalized. Cool. Very cool. Click. 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 Official blog. Kings and Queens. Tefei or not Tefei. And then what day was this posted? December 23rd, 2025. Make sure that I did not break anything in doing that. Cool. Okay. Now I have them all. Nothing to do with Chimeran mention then. I think the Operator is my favorite lore blog because it answers Chimeran questions and has Taggart in it. That is a lot of reasons to absolutely love the Operator and think that it is the best. I can't believe so many of these were missing. I am very happy that they're now all there. All right. Back to our regularly scheduled STO stream. Hey, remember this is a STO stream? I certainly forgot. I have done exactly one TFO so far today. Circuits and Souls is in there. Oh, you're just talking about your favorite lore block. Okay. You scared me. I was like, no. No, I added. That one's there. I swear that one's there. Also, by the way, just a quick aside before I actually do STO stuff again. But remember, everybody, you should absolutely come to this page for all of your lore needs because quite literally all of it is kept here. All of the lore blogs. And it's very, 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 very cool. Even the Tales of the War. All of the stuff from back when the Yorktown class USS Enterprise first launched. Going all the way to our Kings and Queens lore blogs. And you can now see just how insanely Flo has been cooking. Because look at this. Like, these are all absolute bangers. Hey, Chara. Hey, Chara. You know, we don't have a page for Chimeran. That's a good question. Jeremy, which lore blog was that? Do you remember the name of it? I can check. I think that you should help work on the Chimeran page that doesn't exist. I got to work on the Tassim Faye one. It came out around the Agents of Yesterday. Alright. Let's see. We've got a couple here. We've got Aftershocks. No Profit But the Name. Pandora's Gift. It was about temporally displaced persons. Okay. So I don't think it was this one. It was the Port Collective. uh, hmm. Oh, was it this one? With talking about K-13's return. I do vaguely remember this vlog. This one does not have a writer for it. At least not one listed. Ah. Well, I'm gonna go looking for it now. Oh, we've also got all the ones from you said that it was one more like employer orientation video for accidental time travelers. Oh. That one sounds familiar. Hmm. Maybe it was one of the Tales from K-13 one? Oh, hey. I totally forgot that there was one about Ezra Dax. Foreshadowing. I'm gonna find it at some point. I'll have to do some digging for it. I will find it. Alright, time to, run something. I want to do an ISE. I'm sure that, this Gagarin will survive it. I really do like the Gagarin. I think it's a really cool ship. Just gonna jump back over to Wolf 359 here. I'm going to have Chimerans on my mind for the foreseeable future. So if you guys see me messaging STO Lore Hub around 2 a.m., just know it was because of this lore blog, and it's because my brain is still actively kicking and refuses to stop. Can't stop, won't stop. Ooh. You know, another thing I don't really talk about, or haven't talked about too much since it happened, but kicking off last year with the addition of the new Soul Station and this new like Soul System map is absolutely awesome. Like, I wish I could go back in time like 5 or 10 years and tell 16-year-old me that this is what STO is going to be like. Because I am so positive that they would absolutely lose their shit at it. It's like, oh yeah, so you're gonna have a new giant Earth with 8K textures on it, which 10 years ago basically wasn't really a thing that was a thing. You're gonna have this giant Earth space dock model because it's awesome. And also, you know how there's like 100 playable ships? Well, get ready, because there's gonna be like 600 of them, and they're gonna be awesome. I will not stand for any Soul Station hate. This place is awesome. And I have had so many cool headcanons about this thing. One of my favorite ones being that this is like the space airport for all of Earth. My thinking has always been that the Federation and Starfleet vessels use this big dome in the center for all their comings and goings, but all of these smaller pods on the side are like where all of the trade ships and civilian freight and passenger ships come in and dock. It's so cool. And that basically every ship that comes in and out of like Earth space comes through this station because it is just like the planet's airport of sorts. Plus, I imagine it makes security and logistics so much easier. You have to go through Earth space dock and beam down or do whatever else it is you're doing. You know, you can't just fly your warship into Earth's atmosphere. We also have seen now in Picard Season 3 that this station can solo a fleet. Like, yeah, it lost the fight, but it was also up against several hundred Starfleet ships, and it took hours for it to get disabled. Not even destroyed, disabled. You know how insane that is? Not to mention the entire time it was shielding itself and the rest of the planet. Like, that is an insane amount of tanking. This thing's whole resistance ratings must be just like through the roof. Imagine the entire Picard Season 3 fight would have gone completely differently if Soul Station just had hazard emitters. Or engineering team. Couldn't have been hit by any debuffs. Would have cleared them immediately. Reverse shield polarity. Or, hear me out, give Soul Station feedback pulse. See what happens. The entire fleet, boom, gone in an instant. Easy win. I've solved the crisis. Boomerang's got the right idea. Give Soul Station miraculous repairs. Also, have a fantastic night, Flo. Thank you so much. This new lore blog is awesome, and I hope you enjoyed my hour-and-a-half long rantings about my Chimeran thoughts. It can tank for sure, but what is ESD's DPS numbers like? What an excellent question. I think that if anybody could answer that, it would 100% be Bort. Jeremy, we must know how much DPS does Soul Station do? Hi, Pax. Currently, 0. So what you're saying is, I out DPS Soul Station. I'm now just thinking back to all of the videos I've seen of people using the Dragon's Flame projector on ESD. He did say currently. Oh god, what if the Aetherians fuse Earth space dock and turn it against us? That wouldn't be very good. That would be very bad. I would also consider that to be a non-optimal situation. I'm not gonna be the one fusing Soul Station. The Aetherians are gonna do it. Hey. Did ESD, like, actually fight in Midnight? I just remember it getting disabled, like, really fast. Did it ever, like, shoot? I forget. It's been, I would say a long time since I ran that mission, but it's only been, like, a month. I fear nothing. Maybe in a cutscene? Yeah, that makes sense. I'm not an expert on how, like, I guess the maps work under the hood. But yeah, I was about to say that. ESD isn't an NPC. It's a floor, a lore floor. But There is... There... The one that was in the map was never an NPC. But I know that Pundus did make one do a barrel roll once. So, I think that there was one made, but I think it was just for that trailer. It just casually exists, like the floor. The lore floor. I am now thinking about Soul Station doing barrel rolls. It would be so funny. Anything can do a barrel roll if you get level 9 access. Just steal Admiral Quinn's security codes. It'll be fine. Remember, you're in zero gravity. Nobody will notice if Soul Station does a barrel roll. That's what inertial dampeners are for. No one will ever know. Somewhere on ESD, there's an ensign just itching to press Z or R twice. Z or R? Is Z and R the pilot maneuver buttons? I've just been double tapping A or D. I'm gonna be totally honest, Looney. No. And I would add another big point to that. Star Fox 64 came out April 27th, 1997. Looney, I was not alive. I had not been born when that game came out.
I am Locutus of Borg.
I think the game has heard me talking about Borg.
Is futile. Your life, as it has been, is over.
Also, oh my god, the opening cutscene of this TFO is so freaking cool. Also, this map is very cool. This is one of my favorite maps in the game. By far.
Attention all hands. The Borg, we risk this.
For a couple of reasons. For one, it is like the perfect backdrop for this battle against the Borg. And also, this map has yeah, again, the voice acting in this using the clips from Best of Both Worlds. Everything about this is epic. This is also, in my opinion, one of the best maps to take screenshots in. The lighting here is fantastic. I know very little about game design, and even less about lighting in game design, but the lighting here is just so great. I also like the cutscene at the end where the Borg cube warps out and you see all of the disabled ships. I remember Nick talking about the work that went into those partially destroyed ships, and it is very cool.
And escort us to Sector 001. If you attempt to intervene, we will destroy you. Task Group Alpha, engage the Borg. Groups Beta and Gamma.
Let's do it!
Melvin here. We're moving in. Move us to position Alpha.
I also like that you have Cisco's voice lines in here too.
Melvin to fleet. We've lost it.
They've locked on.
The Yamaguchi is moving in to assist.
Full reverse. The knowledge and experience of the human, the God, is part of us now. It has prepared us for all possible courses of Move in. Remember,
It is unfortunate, Picard, that you've assimilated all of this knowledge about the Federation and Starfleet. Luckily for us, I'm a loose cannon who doesn't listen to the rules! Prepare for running speed!
We picked up survivors from the
I
Saratoga.
wish.
Commander Sisko managed to evacuate many civilians.
Ow. Ooh, time to go for escape pods. Oh no, I've been tractor beamed. Oh no, they got the Melbourne! Ow. Ow! Stop it! The Borg cube is hurting my hole. I want it to stop. You know, I think back to a lot of the discourse I remember seeing on, like, Reddit about the ships and the Battle of Wolf 359, and I still found myself super duper confused about it. Like, they thought, I guess the idea was because they make the Parliament out as a, like, brand new ship in lower decks, that it wouldn't be here at the Battle of Wolf 359, but apart from the fact that its design is, like, very much Galaxy-esque, I don't think it feels unreasonable that the Parliament class would still be considered a new ship by the time of lower decks anyway. Like, even with their much more advanced manufacturing processes and things, ships would be in R&D and development for a very long time, and the life cycles of these ships would be insanely long. Like, keep in mind that, you know, the Miranda class, we saw as early as the TMP era in Wrath of Khan, and they were still in active use up through the Battle of Sector 001.
Locutus aboard. This is Admiral Hansen.
With that logic, I would say that 30 years would still be enough for a starship to be considered new.
Irrelevant. There are no terms.
You can also extend that to, like, naval vessels and stuff now. Like, these things are designed to run for decades. The fact that you have, you know, the ships that you see in the show only lasting a couple of years is more of an occupational hazard than anything else.
Picking up life pods. Cover us.
And even most of the Enterprises lasted a pretty long time. I mean, while the Enterprise F, like, in canon, wasn't seen very much, keep in mind that that thing served from, what, like, 2386 until 2401 thereabouts? And the Odyssey class had been in service for around that long, too. And just because the Enterprise F was decommissioned at that point, I don't imagine that the Odyssey class was decommissioned at that point. There'd be no reason to.
I will continue aboard this ship to sector 001.
I have very hot takes about the Galaxy class, Looney. I think that them saying that the Galaxy class was designed to last for 100 years was a marketing stunt. I think that the Galaxy class is a very, very, very good ship, but it was not designed with what it was actually going to have to do in mind. The Enterprise D and how it went out, I think, is a great example of that. I think that the Galaxy class as a whole, speaking specifically for, like, the original run, not Dominion War variants or anything like that, were designed with this idea that space had no longer become dangerous because the Federation hadn't faced any opponents that it didn't feel like it could beat at any given time. And that all fell apart very, very quickly for the Federation. Because you have these situations where, like, oh, the Enterprise D is the flagship of the Federation. The Galaxy class is the most powerful ship in the fleet. And granted, it was partially because of plot, but it lost in a fight to a 50-year-old bird of prey. Shields or not, the fact that a Galaxy class could lose that fight is absolutely insane, and I don't think that you can just write it up to plot in a lot of ways. The Galaxy class is not a ship that was intended to fight, just to fight. And I don't think that that was the wrong move, but it wasn't a ship that was because it wasn't what was needed. I mean, hacking Geordi's visor gave them the shield frequencies. So let's take away the shields for a minute. It is crazy to think about the fact that a Starfleet ship, even without shields, would lose in a fight to a 50-year-old ship, just technology-wise. Exactly. The Odyssey got demolished by the Jem'Hadar ships. Granted, it was taken out ultimately by that last kamikaze attack right to the main hull, but she had been super heavily damaged by that point anyway. The Galaxy class ship is not a ship designed to fight. It is a ship that at best is designed to defend itself against something that is much lower than a near peer adversary. Like a Galaxy class, I think, would absolutely lose hand over fist to something like a Negvar. Like a canon Negvar from the exact same time period versus the Galaxy class, despite all of the Federation's technology and innovations that went into it, I think that that ship would absolutely lose. Because I don't think that it was a ship designed to actually fight a near-peer adversary. Because it didn't really have to be. It was clearly a ship designed to do a lot of things okay. You know, it had great science facilities. Probably not as great as like a dedicated science ship or a starbase, but still very freaking good. Engineering would have been state of the art, but that's, you know, just newer technology, newer ships kind of thing. And I have read it. Also, Tranquility Press's work is fantastic. For anyone who hasn't read the Battle of Wolf 359 that they did, 100% worth a read. It's cool. And a lot of the things in that were adapted for use in STO's rendition of the Battle of Wolf 359 for the TFO. One of them being, like, the idea of this memorial starbase. And I think the original model for that thing that was used in the book was designed by Scorpion Design, who is a concept artist at Cryptic working on STO. But again, TLDR, I think that the Galaxy class ship was a ship designed more for the hope that the galaxy was not a dangerous place, and that ended up kind of backfiring a lot because it was after the Galaxy class launched that, you know, the Dominion War kicked off, and we came into contact with the Borg, and everything with the Cardassians, and reignited tensions with the Klingons. There was a lot. A lot. I also want to add to that I do love the Galaxy class. Like, I think it's a beautiful ship. Yeah, that's a good point. You also have all the beef with the Romulans. I think the Galaxy class would lose to a D'Deridex. The Galaxy class would lose to a Negvar. the Galaxy class would lose against, I forget what the exact name of that Cardassian heavy cruiser was, but their mainline ship. And I agree wholeheartedly. Like, I think that a lot of things are kind of misinterpreted with the Connie 3. They're like, oh, it feels like a technological step backwards from the Odyssey class. I'm like, I don't know if that's true. I'm not knocking the Odyssey class because it's an extremely, like, advanced ship. At this point, it would only be, like, max 15 years old. But just because it's smaller and has a different purpose, I don't think makes it less advanced. Like, sensors, engines on the Connie 3 versus the Odyssey probably lean pretty heavily towards the Connie 3. There's going to be things that it is just going to be better at than an Odyssey class, the same way the Odyssey class would still be better at things than the Connie 3. I mean, the same could be true of the Starfleet of any era, you know? Like, we're in this Jupiter Kills. The Jupiter class is going to be really great at being a carrier. It is a better carrier than the Gagarin. The Gagarin is going to be a better mainline cruiser. That is an interesting, oh, it's an Alameda class. Nice. It's an Alameda class that's kickbash, because that's the Okinawa hull, if I'm not mistaken. Because the Alameda, it's like on a separate sort of nacelle housing attached to the pylon. That's the Okinawa hull. And then the Alameda saucer and nacelles. And I think pylons too. Actually, no, those nacelles might also be the Okinawas now that I look at it closely. The Enterprise F was the flagship until the end of Picard Season 3. Though, I would like to raise another very, very, very important point. I don't know if it's stated specifically that the Enterprise was the flagship of the Federation. It's, you know, definitely an assumption, and I don't think there's any reason not to assume it. But you have a lot of situations where the Enterprise is not the most advanced ship in the fleet. The best example of that being in the TMP era, because you have Excelsior, which is, for all intents and purposes, more powerful than the Enterprise was. It was more advanced, it was newer, it was faster, it was everything better. It just wasn't the Enterprise. And the Excelsior was such a good platform that it ended up being used for the next Enterprise anyway. And this is a very pretty map. This is another one that I think gets slept on a lot. It looks incredible. It was experimental through some of the TMP era, but not all of it. I mean, by the time of signing the Chimeran Accords, the Excelsior is very much like a full-fledged and activated starship. And it's dropped the NX designation. It is NCC 2000 at that point. See, you know what I like doing, Chara? I like going right to the edge of the event horizon in this black hole, and then using the Kelvin Connie console, the auxiliary warp core console, to jump out of it and reimagining that scene from Star Trek 09 where they do the exact same thing. Because I am crazy. What I find absolutely hilarious about it is that the way that the gravity well is like set up in the game is that it can absolutely work if you time it well and you have enough engine power. But you can absolutely pull it off, and I find that incredible. I do not understand how the gravity well like actually works, but I think that the physics behind it are very cool. Warp core breach next to a black hole? That's how you cause temporal incursions.
We've collected enough Hawking particles to power the disruption weapons. Shields down on some heavy facilities.
Hang on, I got an idea.
Destroy us for
Somebody, start playing the Interstellar theme song. Bum bum, bum bum, bum bum, bum 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 bum. Oh, I flew too close. Bum bum, bum bum, bum 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 bum.
The station has fallen into the black hole. Move
Oh
on.
crap! Wait! Ah! Ah! Okay, I deserve that. Black hole sun, won't you come and wash away the rain? You know what else I wonder about? How does this affect work in game? Because, like, once you pass the event horizon, like, everything does go completely black, and that's crazy. Somewhere Jesse's giggling at my demise. If Jesse has a sixth sense every time I fly into the black hole, I think last week on Thursday he probably had just a hell of a time because I was absolutely suffering in this TFO. I was trying to do a slingshot. You know, if flying around the sun can send you back in time, with this logic, flying around the black hole will send me forward in time. Don't worry, guys. I'm going to find out what the next season holds. I'm going to find all the answers about Chimerans. Here we go! It will at a rate of 1 second per second. Oh crap, I flew too close! Oh no! No, 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 no! My evasive maneuvers are still on cooldown! No! No, not like this! No! Come on! Ah, crap. I'm sure my team is very tired of me doing whatever I'm doing right now. I thought that the fireworks worked like mini warp cores. They did not work like mini warp cores. That salesman at ESD lied to me. He said they were auxiliary warp cores. Most people flew at warp 10 around the sun, went back in time to Earth's history, and turned into warp 10 salamanders. Would that be the origin of the dinosaurs? They would in turn be the origin of the Voth then. It's all connected. You know, I'd probably turn off my auto weapons fire if I ever wanted to deliver these hawk particles.
We've collected enough Hawking particles to power the disruption weapon.
You know you have sound but no picture? What? People on Twitch, you guys can see the video from my stream, right?
Move on to the
Let me
next one.
check my YouTube side. Is YouTube not getting a picture right now? That would be bad. I would refresh your YouTube page. On my end, it looks like it's still working. Cool. Thank you. I need some Hawking particles. I overshot that by a lot. Wow, did you see that freighter? That was a 32nd century Klingon freighter. Speaking of which, mild spoilers for this week's episode of Star Trek Starfleet Academy, but there were some very familiar ships in the 32nd century Klingon fleet this week, and I think everyone should go watch the episode and marvel at some of the familiar ships that were seen in the Klingon fleet. They are Ethereum beams. I'm using the new console. I know that its official name is the pentachoric emitter, but I have just been calling it the Iati console because my way of finding it in my long list of consoles is the one that looks like an Iati. Alternatively, it is the triangle. It is just the triangle one.
We've collected enough Hawking particles to power the disruption weapon. Shields down the Kennedy facility.
Oh, reverse polarity! Ah! Oh, hey, I'm alive. That cruiser is having a very bad time right now. You know, I'm just gonna leave it. It'll figure it out. Awesome. Great to hear.
Hull integrity below 75%.
Oh, Dreadnought! Where am I jumping? Oh, Dreadnought! There you are.
Engage them. We have destroyed the production
I made it go boom.
but there's still much work to be done.
Ow. I wonder if this ship can solo in ISA. I have not tried. I am encouraged to try before I wrap up the stream here for the night. As soon as I fix it, after taking damage from flying into the black hole. You know what? I consider that a pretty good value proposition. I fly into a black hole twice. Only things I get are hull stress and shield systems damage. This is a strong ship. And look, I'm not even unraveled throughout time and space. As much as I love unraveling. Heh. USS Spaghettiification. Spaghetti. I think I know what I'm having for dinner tomorrow. Oh my gosh. Okay. Fantastic idea for a pitch. What did I just queue for, by the way? Did I queue for Elite or Advanced? I wasn't paying attention. Crap. I may have just queued for Elite. I'll figure it out in a minute. At any rate, I've got a great idea for a dish that you could serve on a starship, right? So it's just spaghetti and meatballs, but it's just one big meatball in the center, right? And then you have all the spaghetti around it, and you make it look like it's the accretion disk around the black hole. And it's just black hole spaghetti. Because the outside, you know, it's spaghettification and all that. Grilled symbiote over spaghetti with protomatter meat. Oh my god, that is... That's what the resistance has been fighting against! This is elite.
The situation
No.
is grim.
I will die. This is what we've been fighting against, Operator. It's a war on spaghetti. 18-inch pizza with targ meat, pineapple, and a side of gach. Oh my gosh. I know the stream is going to be ending soon, but I have to pin that this is just... Gachlic bread. So we have the Star Trek Online meme song mixtape. Now we're going to have an entire food menu dedicated. I love this. Ooh. Some garlic bread to go with the black hole spaghetti. That's a meal right there.
Situation is grim.
Anyone else hungry? So, one of two things is going to happen in a second here. It will certainly be one of two things. The only survivability thing I have on this ship is reverse shield polarity, so we're going to be leaning pretty heavily into that. One, death, or two, murder. Yes. Nope.
You will be assimilated.
Scanning the nanite transformer. Done.
I think that this is
Additional
going to go
details
very well.
available.
The fact that I am not yet dead already has me very hopeful for the future.
The nanite probes can repair the transformers. Stop them.
I'll be honest, this is going considerably better than I expected it to.
A probe is closing in on a transformer. Destroy it.
Now comes the really hard part, though.
You will be Borg.
Oh, God! Yeah, that's why. Alright. I'm already going to draw all of the aggro off of this board cube, so it doesn't really matter that I'm using the console that actively pisses everything off. Either I'm going down or they are. Come on, baby. Holy crap, I survived that. Huh.
Sensors confirm that the transport.
Well, that's neat. Heck yeah. I'm not dead. But alrighty. With that, we are going to wrap up the stream here. We had an absolutely amazing time talking all about the new lore blog and our Chimeran theories. I will continue to work on the whiteboard and add things and probably update the wiki pages in due time. I will be over on the STO Discord. If you are not already a member of it, you should absolutely join it. Let's see if I can get a link for it.
He's dead, Jim.
Bum, ba, bum, ba, bum, ba, bum. Yes, I think this link should work. Assuming I find my chat again. There we go. There's a link to the STO Discord. And I hope you all enjoy. I have no idea why you would hit the crash thing, because for one, I totally don't remember where the crash button is on my stream deck, because I haven't used it in forever. Oh, there it is. Click. Womp womp. But with that, like I said, we're going to wrap up the stream here for the night. I hope everybody had a lot of fun getting to talk Chimerans with me. We will be back live again next week for more lore and more fun. If you enjoyed the stream and want to see more, consider dropping a follow over on Twitch and a subscription over on YouTube. It helps the channels grow every single day, and you know I always appreciate it. I want to give a couple of shout outs to some absolutely incredible people. I'm just pulling up my list here of people that I want to talk about before we wrap up the stream here tonight. The first one is Flo, writing the absolutely amazing lore blog that we were talking about through most of the stream today, The Operator. And massive shout outs to both Gokhan and Albert over on the Cryptic Studios art team. I believe Gokhan is a concept artist, and let me open up the blog here. Albert is an illustration and marketing artist over at Cryptic. Also, shout outs to Jeremy, aka Bordicus, for being here in chat and joining us in our hilarity. It is always great having you here. But alrighty, I think that's all I've got for the night, everybody. I hope you all have a fantastic rest of your evening, a great rest of your week, and an awesome weekend. As always, you have been live with Endeavor Gaming, and remember to keep calm and game on.